You ever see someone try a citizen's arrest on a cop with zip ties from an HOA emergency kit? Yeah, that actually happened. All because a farmhand dared to feed goats near a neighborhood that thought it was its own country. It was a dusty Tuesday morn when the gravel on my unincorporated farm crunched under Miguel's worn truck tires. Low country music from the speakers, hay bales swaying in the bed, and my farmhand, him always prompt, appeared in his usual uniform, faded flannel, worn jeans, and straw-dusted boots. Miguel had stopped by to check the fences and feed the goats. Another routine morning for us, but across the property line, in the tidy, manicured cul-de-sacs of a nearby HOA, a storm was brewing. Her name was Linda. Linda wasn't just a homeowner. She was the HOA president, clipboard in hand, and an ego so massive it could scare crows off phone lines. At noon, she'd have Miguel zip-tied onto the tailgate of his own truck, charged with trespassing and impersonating an officer. What she didn't know was that Miguel wasn't just a farm laborer. He was, in reality, an off-duty deputy sheriff. And those dummies security cameras she dismissed, they were streaming every second of her meltdown live to county dispatch. I was elbow deep in a burst water regulator within my house when I first heard Linda's voice, shrill and raspy, cutting the silence like a chainsaw. She'd caught sight of Miguel's truck from her Ring camera that faced the street and judged it a threat to her HOA's tenuous visual harmony. 10 minutes after that, she rallied two of her so-called security volunteers, basically middle-aged dudes on electric scooters, and barreled down my private drive in a gleaming white SUV. By the time I made my way around to the rear of the barn, washing grease off of my hands, the drama had broken out. Linda stood like a cop who's commanding traffic at rush hour, sunglasses firmly in place, clipboard held high like a badge. Miguel, half an unloading of a hay bale, was as calm as a cow in clover.
"Private property," she yelled, not caring that my property was not under her HOA's domain. Miguel told her politely that he worked there, went far enough to suggest calling me. "I don't require a farmer's approval," she snapped at him. When he told her he was a sheriff's deputy, she let out a laugh, cold and scornful. On really? A cop? Wearing that rig? Then came the moment she detonated her own future. She pulled out plastic zip ties, yes, from an actual HOA emergency kit, and ordered her scooter minions to restrain him. Miguel didn't resist. He sat on the tailgate, calm as ever, and said, "Ma'am, you're making a big mistake." Linda, drunk on HOA power, was narrating the entire thing like she was live streaming to her fans. I tried to intervene. "He works for me." But she spun on me and snarled, "Interfere with HOA enforcement and you'll face legal consequences." That's when Miguel shifted slightly, and the deputy badge clipped to his belt caught the light. It gleamed like a slap in the face. Linda froze, her face went pale. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. "You can buy those on eBay," she scoffed. "You think I'm stupid?" Cue the sirens. Dust billowed as 4 sheriff cruisers tore up the driveway. Deputies sprang out, hands on holsters. The lead officer glared Miguel down. "Deputy Torres, okay?" Then turned to Linda. Who was holding this man back? Miguel's zip-tied hands still. Her volunteers seemed ready to sprint, body cams rolled, and my security feed had already reported up to dispatch. Miguel casually reached into his pocket and produced his badge and ID. One of the deputies addressed Linda. "Ma'am, you might want to have a lawyer." Now that should have been enough, but this is Linda we're talking about. The next day, every mailbox in the neighborhood contained a new, shiny newsletter penned by Linda. It declared Miguel an imposter, his badge fake, and accused me of having a criminal syndicate in my home. She even accused my goats of being involved in an illegal animal ring. I nearly choked on my coffee. Miguel, always thinking, smiled. "Let's go to the meeting." That night's emergency HOA meeting? Complete circus. Linda swept in like a general, manila folder in hand, preceded by her worried scooter entourage. She launched a speech referring to herself as the heroine who'd thwarted a violent impersonator. She claimed the 4 deputies were tricked by Miguel's deepfake credentials. When one board member cited the same deputy's public endorsement of Miguel, Linda dismissed it. They didn't know he was fake, and then she made her offers. Keeping Miguel out of all HOA bordering areas, including zones with visual proximity, she demanded background checks for contractors and farm laborers. A couple of sycophants bobbed their heads. The rest of them looked apoplectic. And then she overstepped. She showed fuzzy photos of Miguel unloading hay and introduced the bales as a waiting to explode hazard. She'd already called the fire department. What she didn't know? The fire marshal, Chief Greg Harlan, was Miguel's old academy buddy. Next day, Harlan showed up with donuts, signed off on everything, and laughed through half the inspection. That evening, Miguel sat on the porch with me, sipping iced tea. "I'm filing," he said, producing a manila envelope filled with screenshots, witness statements, timestamps. It wasn't a complaint, it was a legal guillotine. 3 days later, Linda was served. Her response? A door-to-door pamphleteering campaign, The Truth About Miguel. She called him a rural radical and government imposter. A neighbor laminated it for his fridge. Others just laughed. Legally, though, the HOA was stuck. Their insurance did not cover illegal arrests, specifically of police officers. Letters demanding Linda's removal started piling up. A recall was in motion. At a secretive board meeting, she demanded the HOA pay for her attorney's fees. A retired judge on the board said flatly, "You zip-tied a deputy. We're not touching that." Then came the email blast, "Community safety under siege, warning of a sheriff conspiracy." Most residents clicked unsubscribe. Next, she hand-delivered a violation notice to me, $2,300 in fines because my livestock disrupted the HOA's visual corridor. My land isn't even part of the HOA. Miguel added it to his case file with a quiet chuckle. She even tried to stage a protest, "Take back our boundaries." 4 people showed up. 2 just wanted lemonade for nothing. Miguel waved from the barn. The goats bleated in the distance, as if they were mocking her. The protest fizzled out in under 20 minutes. The deposition came next. In a cold county room, Miguel's attorney rolled out each item of evidence: security tape, sound, and Linda's own voice rejecting his badge. When asked why she didn't verify his credentials, Linda said she didn't have time. When asked if she knew the property line, she admitted she wasn't sure. Miguel's testimony was calm and devastating. "I've faced fugitives and drug dealers," he said, "but being zip-tied on private land by someone who refused to listen, that shook me." The court fell silent. News outlets jumped on it. The headline, "HOA President Detains Deputy Over Hay Bale." It went viral. Memes flooded in. One had a photo of Linda wearing a sheriff's hat captioned, "Self-appointed, fully delusional." The HOA board took her out. Her emotional distress lawsuit? Denied. Her lawyer? Resigned to go to trial. Pro se, she defended herself, claiming Miguel's badge was too shiny to be real. The judge cut her off. "This isn't an HOA meeting, Miss Harper." The verdict came quickly: guilty of illegal detainment, defamation, slander, and abuse of authority. Miguel was awarded damages. Linda was ordered to issue a public apology and prohibited from HOA leadership for 5 years. Judge's last words: "You're not the sheriff, Miss Harper, and if you act up again, this court won't be kind." Outside, a reporter intercepted Miguel for a final word. Smiling, he said, "Know your legal and moral limits," then walked away, boots crunching gravel. Sunset back at the ranch, quiet once more. Goats sniffed Miguel for treats, chickens clucked. He chuckled. Arthur, the newly elected HOA president, asked him to speak at a community safety forum. Miguel agreed. On one condition: Linda attend the livestock segment. She didn't show. But the goats provided their own stage show anyhow, one making a run with a clipboard. Linda's court-mandated apology letter showed up. I tossed it on the fire, and I hung up a new sign on the front gate: "Private property. Lawmen, livestock, and logic welcome." Carved beneath it, Miguel's badge number. He did catch sight of it, smile softly, and get back to feeding the goats. Justice, hay, and a spoonful of country peace.